Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, female 29, recently bought a house and a brand new car. I will admit, I probably splurged on my house more than I should, but growing up very poor, it has always been a dream of mine to live in a nice house. I worked really hard to be where I am. So much so, I undergo countless breakups because I always choose career over boys. My brother, male 25, is currently jobless. He worked as a tourist guide before and can barely make ends meet. He has 5 kids now, and counting, as his wife announced pregnancy recently. He messaged me on Facebook that there is something he wants to talk about, and I thought he wants to name me godmother to his incoming baby. I said sure, and invited him to the house to get his approval, but some things I modified for our parents. I gave him a tour, and he admired my house greatly, saying things like how excited he is to bring the kids to my house. I did not mind anything about it, as I thought he meant a visit, which I'm more than happy to host for them. Imagine my surprise when he finally sat me down and finally revealed what he wants to talk about. He wants me to give him my house. I clarified whether he meant this house or the other house I bought for my parents, which I still lived in. Still have modifications ongoing with my dream house. He said the house is big enough for his family, and I can go visit them anytime I like. He even offered that if I really wanted to live there, I can go move into the maid's room and modify it for my personal use. I was shocked. I couldn't speak as he thanked me over and over for the house. I finally asked him where the heck did that idea come from, and he said our mother told him I will give him my house. I of course corrected that, and this is where things went south. My brother repeatedly said, since our mom said the house is his now, I cannot do anything but give in. I called my mother to tell him to duck off, and lo and behold, my mother sided with my brother. To make this already long story short, my whole family had cut me off and parents disowned me until I give my brother my house. My father has been brought to the hospital over this fight, and now I feel really bad. The guy I'm seeing now said to just give the house to my brother, and he'll help me buy another. Reddit. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. To clarify, the house that they gave away is the newly bought one. One I thought where I could raise 5 adorable fur babies. Family home is in my name too, as I had to take out a loan back then to buy it. So yeah, it may be obvious I'm not the a-hole at first sight, but I feel like I could be one because my father got hospitalized over the ensuing fight for the house. Edit 2. I'm trying to read all the comments, and I'm just so overwhelmed for your support. I'm temporarily staying at a friend's house ever since. Your encouraging words really helped ease my mood. I finally decided not to give this house and sell the other one to help pay for a vast majority of the loan on my dream house. I also decided to remove my parents' access to my health plans and remove them on my insurance. Last but not least, thank you for the award, kind strangers. Reading your comments made me realize how ridiculously unreal this sounds. What was going on? OP says they grew up very poor. As someone who grew up very poor, this isn't shocking behavior. Many times families feel entitled to your success and value family above everything else. When you have nothing, you have babies to create value for yourself. OP climbed up to a middle-class mindset, and their family has a poverty mindset. If OP doesn't set boundaries and/or cut them off, the family will bleed them dry and drag OP back down. If for no other reason than to prove to themselves poverty isn't their fault and OP isn't better than them. Nervous Tomato says, not the a-hole of course, but what the actual hell is going on here? The entitlement of your brother to expect that you will give him your house? And the nerve of your parents expecting that you would indeed do this? Actually, if your parents want to provide for your brother, they can invite him to live in the house you've bought for them, and they can live in the maid's room. Your family is toxic, OP, and if that's how they see you, as a bank, then cutting you off is a good thing for you. Pika 26 says, not the a-hole, and you should sell the other house in your name since they have downsized you, and take it to go on an amazing holiday. How horrible. Strawberry says, 5 kids at 25? He doesn't need a house, he needs a box of condoms. Update. So I cut my family off back in December and removed them in all services that will benefit them being connected to me. Since I figured, hey mom, you told me I'm dead to you, then you get no free houses for me anymore. So the reactions from our extended family were just as I expected. Most of the adults sided with my mother. My cousins expressed their support to me. I got uninvited to the family reunion I initially sponsored, and isn't that just the worst? My aunts and uncles had barricaded the gate when I arrived at my granny's house. I won't expand on this anymore because this still hurts until now. My mother also sued me for selling the first house back in January. It did not reach the higher courts, and I won. Public perception of me got worse though. She and my brother took this defeat to twist the sympathy in their favor. They posted on social media about how I am an ungrateful daughter and I owe them for everything I have. They also blamed me for my father's death. Yes, he died. I did not even get to attend the funeral because I'm banned. When this happened, I almost gave in and signed the papers to give the house to my brother. I blamed myself and believed them my selfishness killed my father. At this point, my boyfriend convinced me to take a break from work and talk to a professional. I did just that. And I'm only now just realizing how ducked up the way they raised me. I can't believe it took internet strangers to realize something is wrong with how they treated me. To be honest, I almost decided not to post an update. It was last month when my therapist suggested I should do it, because this is where me breaking off from them started. On the bright side, I saw how my fiance's family really liked me because of this ordeal. I thought they were just being nice, but crap happened, and they supported me every step of the way. Especially when my partner had to go overseas for a 1-week stay because of his job. They really took care of me and even assured me I'm worth more than my family thinks I am. The nicest thing I ever heard in my life came from his mother. Anyway, last July 21st, my father's birthday, Mother reached out to me. She explained that she understood she had no right banning me from his funeral, but at the time, all she could think about is how I cut them off my health plans, and it rendered them incapable of supporting my father's hospitalization. I did not realize this, and we cried for hours. She said she still blames me though, and doesn't think she can forgive me. I think I understand her. My therapist told me that thinking of what-ifs is counterproductive, but still, if I could go back in time, I'll help them with this. My brother won't talk to me. That's fine. The feeling is very mutual. I, 29 female, am pregnant with my first child and due to give birth in November. My brother-in-law and his fiancée have planned to have a wedding during this time, roughly 2 weeks after my due date, and I'm super excited for them. However, they have huge plans in place, with over 100 guests. The argument started when each family member was assigned a certain wedding task. Mine was to ensure the guests walked out with their thank you gifts, which is to be segregated by age and gender. This would involve initiating small talks and bidding adieu to guests, coordinating with the gifting committee, etc. I said that there is no way I could be able to do this after giving birth only 2 weeks earlier, and this sounded ridiculous. I offered to do the Excel work, sorting names, addresses, and gifts, but this idea was also shot down. In a short while, the argument took another direction, and my in-laws went off saying that I'm being an impossible woman and exaggerating my pregnancy woes, and that there are thousands of women who give birth every day and go to work right after, and this is an excuse to disrespect the family. I said I won't be attending the wedding if that's what they think of me. Honestly, I don't even know how my body would react 2 weeks after giving birth, and I'm worried it's all about the wedding now and not about my health or the child's. My husband took their side too, and I've had it with this family. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to attend this wedding, although I love my brother-in-law and his fiancée? Edit. It's been almost 8 hours since the first argument, and my mother-in-law is still going on about how people are going to gossip about the missing daughter-in-law and the shame this is going to bring upon the family. And if I'm so paranoid about coming to the wedding, I should consider a C-section 2 weeks in advance, as that will give me a 4-week rest period. Brother-in-law's fiancée is now crying, saying that I've made the wedding about me and not about them. Apparently, I've ruined the first major family event in 8 years. There was a lot of shouting and cussing. Even our neighbors came to check on us and invited me to stay with them till the situation calms down. My dad is driving home to pick me up tomorrow morning, 5 to 6 hours away, and suggested that I stay at my parents' to be away from this hostile environment. As for my husband, he got told off for suggesting to postpone the wedding by a month. This incident has made me realize a lot of things, mainly that the in-laws are inconsiderate a-holes. No screenshots will enlighten them all of a sudden, and also, I'm a fool for agreeing to cover 20% of the event cost as our wedding gift. In my opinion, OP is not an a-hole. Her husband siding with his family is insane, and tells a lot how he sees her. the pregnancy and how life will go on after having the baby. Also, it may not even be 2 weeks after OP gives birth. It might be 2 days, or even 2 hours. It can't even be guaranteed that OP will be there. It's absurd that they've given OP any task. Some people are so selfish and don't think about others at all. I can imagine how OP is hurt for her husband not taking her side. I think OP's husband and his family need to back off. OP has offered an alternative, and they dismissed her and her feelings. Seems a little self-absorbed and judgmental to me. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my opinion? I work in a field which operates very closely with the field of law. My degree is a dual degree in law plus business, and I work with actual lawyers and deal with legality issues on a daily basis. Also, because of the classes I took in uni and friend circles I ran in, I know many lawyers all over the legal profession, including guys in the prosecutor's office, divorce attorneys, corporate lawyers, whom I work with, and so on and so forth. Recently, there was a family dinner, and my niece was talking about uni subject options for next year. I really struggled choosing between biosciences, psychology, business, and law, so I was really interested in what she was going to choose. She said she was struggling between doing biosciences and then grad entry medicine, or law. I literally struggled with the exact same issue. I didn't get the grades for undergrad medicine, by the way, and neither did she, if that's relevant. I don't think it is, though. One thing that I got concerned over, though, is how she thinks the legal profession works. She was talking about how cool it is to tackle super unique cases every day, and how she would love earning massive amounts of money while doing it. She mentioned that she basically thought it was like Suits, but a bit less cinematic. This is where I stepped in and explained how the legal field really works, and basically the pros and cons of working in it. The minute I started talking about the cons, though, after the pros obviously, my sister begins glaring at me. And I basically broke the concept that lawyers work super unique, on-the-feet, exciting cases all the time. They typically are specialized, so they deal with the same kind of case. Not that that is boring, by the way. They mostly spend their time reading through contracts or drafting them in the corporate field, which is what is in Suits. The amount of time they spend at trial is ridiculously short compared to how long they spend preparing for it. But also ridiculously long, too, as trials can last months. Basically, my niece then starts screaming at me how she knows more about the legal profession than I do, and I don't know crap about law, and how I'm trying to mansplain her own profession to her, even though she's never worked or met a lawyer before. I decided it was best to just leave. I no longer stay in places I'm yelled at anymore. My sister called me and told me I had no right to explain something I have no idea about, and that I was a typical man trying to tear down a young girl's dream being a powerful woman in a high-level profession. Am I the a-hole? In my opinion, guys, that wasn't mansplaining, as in telling a woman things she already knows in a condescending tone. That was explaining to an inexperienced person with unrealistic expectations that the world doesn't perform like TV. OP didn't tell her not to be a lawyer. OP told her what being a lawyer is like. Now, I can't speak to how OP delivered that message, so there is the possibility that there was some condescension OP didn't intend. But as narrated, I would say OP is not at fault here. Do you agree with me, guys? 2 years ago, my grandfather died, and our father's sister, aunt, was the executor of our grandfather's estate. In our country, if your parent was meant to get a distribution of the estate, but they have passed, it goes to their children. Well, my dad, also my brother's dad, has passed away, so we should legally be entitled to his share. Our aunt, executor, said that there was no estate. A few months after Grandpa passed away, I began to get suspicious as my aunt and her husband spent a lot of money on a new car, holidays, cruises, renovations, etc. I decided to ask a lawyer if anything could be done. The lawyer offered to take on myself and my brother's case at no cost, just 30% of the amount if we won. If we changed our minds or dropped the case or misinterpreted anything, we'd be liable for hourly costs of the attorney. I asked my brother if he wanted to join and explained everything. I also told him I just got in before the statute of limitations ended, so this was his only chance. I did all the work, research, hiring a lawyer, finding information and the house sale, etc. He didn't think it was worth it to join. My brother was vehemently against it. He said I could do what I wanted, but he didn't care about the money and wanted nothing to do with my aunt, so he'd stay out of it. I respected what he said and went in alone, taking on the risk alone. If anything had gone wrong, I'd be paying alone. My brother would have no liability to pay. Well, I received a settlement offer yesterday, which seems fair. It also includes my brother. My lawyer refuses to negotiate the settlement at all because it includes my brother. He said my brother isn't his client, so he can't negotiate. As it currently stands, I get significantly less than my brother, as 100% of the legal fees come from my portion. For example, I get $14,000 and he gets $20,000 because I have to pay $6,000 in legal fees. I'm suggesting a distribution of $17,500 and $16,500 because I did literally everything and took the risk on alone. If I reject the settlement offer and either counteroffer or let it go to trial, my brother is not guaranteed to be included anymore. Now that there's a real possibility of money on the table, he's completely flip-flopped and wants me to accept the offer, which includes him. Because he isn't a client, it's the only way that he would be included. In my opinion, he had the chance to join when I literally offered it to him a year ago, but he chose not to join because he didn't think it would go anywhere. I don't want him to get nothing, and I'm happy enough with the settlement offer. I just don't think it's fair for me to pay all the legal fees, when without me, he would literally have no settlement at all. If he didn't flip-flop and had joined in the beginning, we could counter and negotiate more of what we are entitled to. My brother now says he really wants this money and is asking me to do anything to keep him included, so he wants me to accept it, as even countering it means he's out. I'm happy to do that for him, but it does mean I'm taking a loss. In the offer, it says I'm entitled to 60% more, so I had planned to counter before my brother asked me to just accept, to basically ensure he's still involved. Is it fair, since I did everything, to expect my brother to pay slightly more legal fees than me? Again, without me having done this and settled the way I've agreed to, he would have zero and never be able to get anything because the statute of limitations has passed. I think OP needs to agree to 50-50 in this situation. OP is still getting a payout. No need to get greedy because OP feels it's unfair. OP agreed to the lawyer's costs. OP didn't counter, so OP has to pay as she is the client. Do you agree with me, guys? Update. Just to clarify, I am accepting the settlement and splitting it with my brother. I'm not going to counter and have him dropped, and no matter what, I would never allow him to be dropped because he changed his mind. My only question is, given I took the risk, the liability, I was responsible for legal fees if I failed. I did the work. Is asking for 1.5% more overall fair? I want my brother to succeed and be part of this. I'd not want him to lose out on anything, but I'd resent him if he did nothing, took no risk, had no stress, no research work or liability, and then got more than me, or even the same amount. I risked so much taking this battle on alone. He wants to join because it's succeeding, and it doesn't seem fair to get an equal share having skipped out on all the risk, but getting all the rewards.